Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. So they have officially released KAFKA's skills. No multipliers yet, but the skills alone are enough to get me super excited. Now, I know a lot of people look at leaks and stuff like that, but I try and avoid that and just go off official information. And now that they've officially put out some of this stuff, like some of the traces, it gets me super excited for the kind of builds we can do with KAFKA, the fun builds. I don't know what's going to be the quote-unquote best build yet, but I just wanted to take you guys through the skills and the traces especially, which are exciting, and why I'm really jacked up for KAFKA. And I think she's going to be like the character with the most versatile builds, and like I don't think anyone's going to get bored with her because there's so many different ways you can play her and so many characters you can play her with. So let's get into it. I'm going to jump over here onto Pridewind because they just do really good summaries and it's just clean to go ahead and look at. So basic attack, deals lightning damage to a single enemy. Skill, deal lightning damage to the enemy target and enemies adjacent to it. If the targeted enemy is currently afflicted with dot, they immediately receive additional damage equal to a certain percentage of their current active dot. Now, this is something that I was mentioning. I wasn't sure based on the footage that we had from the live stream. I thought it was only the primary target, and this wording basically indicates that yes, it's the primary target only that is going to take the additional damage. So even though it is a cleave ability, unfortunately, only the primary target gets that additional damage. Then ultimate, deals lightning damage to all enemies with a chance of inflicting shock on them, and causes enemies with the shock status to immediately take damage equal to a certain percentage of the original damage received. Shock lasts for several turns. When shocked, enemies receive lightning dot equal to a certain percentage of KAFKA's attack at the beginning of each turn. So basically we've got an AoE with a shock that procs shocks. Not too bad, but this gets way better when we look at traces, which I'll talk about, which is something that gets me super excited for like a KAFKA, like just energy regeneration build that I'm definitely going to play around with when she comes out. Moving on from that, the talent. After an ally uses a basic attack on an enemy, KAFKA immediately launches a follow-up attack and deals lightning damage with a high chance of inflicting shock to that target. This effect lasts for several turns, but can only be triggered one time per turn. So this is really interesting on her talent that I like. One, it's going to inflict shock. So we've got another way to apply shock besides her ultimate, because that was kind of like the lagging bit with her skill that it didn't actually apply shock. So that's really good. And only one time per turn. Now, normally these type of things are one time per KAFKA's turn. So once again, building KAFKA fast is going to let her do it more. I just think of a really fast KAFKA is going to be the way I want to build her, but one time per turn. Keen to see how much break this does and how much energy it generates. To me, if I had to guess, it would probably be like one break unit and 5 energy, but I'm keen to see, because like I said, this is another form of energy regeneration for her in that talent. Next up, the technique immediately attacks all enemies within range. After entering battle, deals lightning damage to all enemies, and all enemies have a chance to receive the same shock effect as from her ultimate. This effect lasts for several turns. So basically, the technique's just, you know, AoE with shock. Okay, so the next thing that got me really excited was the traces. So when the ultimate ability, when the ultimate is used, enemy targets will immediately receive damage from all currently applied dots sources instead of just receiving damage immediately from the currently applied shock state. So this trace, I am super happy that this is in the game, because you'll notice with me with a lot of characters, Silverwolf, Savol, I like ulting lots. It just feels good. Even if it's not the best, the quote-unquote best, it makes me feel good using my ult a lot. And I just want to have a energy-focused KAFKA that ults heaps, because like my idea now with this, just based off this alone, is if I can make KAFKA super fast with optimal energy regeneration, so that she can ult as many times as possible. I think without a doubt we're going to get 2-turn ults with KAFKA. Especially now bear with me, especially if we put the armor breaking light cone on a Sampo with her. That would be sick, because then you're getting the armor break, so then you can put the free-to-play Silverwolf light cone on KAFKA and she can generate that extra energy. There's a lot of things I'm thinking about, but the fact that her ult is going to trigger dots as well gets me super excited for that type of play, because then if you have her super fast, it means she's going to use her skill more often. insta-procking dots more often, and she's going to ult more often, especially if she has energy regeneration, procking that sort of stuff. So that's where you get like a support type KAFKA, where your main damage is coming from building like a Sampo, ideally like just built to maximize his dot damage, whether it be with break effect for the break dot and just a ton of attack for the general dot. Because then you've got KAFKA just burning through enemies with, yes, ticking her dot damage, which, like I said, the speed and energy regeneration would be the priority in this type of build. Once again, not saying this is the best build. This is just something I'm really excited for. And then you're just like insanely just procking all these dots that the Sampo has. On top of that, if you've got an E4 Sampo, he's also insta-procking his own wind shears when he attacks, and then he's got a multi-hit attack. I just think that type of combo is going to be so good, and when I saw this trace go in, it makes me super happy, because it unlocks like such a fun play for me. Next up, we have Plunder. When an enemy inflicted with shock is defeated, KAFKA generates additional energy. Once again, this is energy. I know it's not like, I know you can't put this on a spreadsheet and say every time she's going to gain energy. I get that, but the times it does, can we get like a 1 skill then ult with KAFKA? That's what I want to do. And then we have the base chance for ultimate, technique, and follow-up attack to trigger the talent to inflict shock is increased. This is huge as well. So this, depending on numbers, now this is going to depend on numbers that it has, but when you have something like this in a trace, and then if she has effect hit rate, but based on the other Nihility characters of what happened with Silverwolf, I'm going to guess that KAFKA's probably going to have effect hit rate in her traces. Now, I'm hoping what this means is KAFKA doesn't need effect hit rate. So that leaves the chest free for an attack slot if you want to maximize attack. However, another build, which I know probably won't be as popular, but I think it's something that I really want to test because I like seeing crit damage on my characters, is maybe we experiment with a crit build on KAFKA. Now, once again, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you it is the best, but it leaves us open. If we don't have to run effect hit rate on a KAFKA and we can have that chest slot open, it just leaves us options. Whether we want to, like I said, I feel like a crit build on KAFKA could definitely be viable if we're running a Sampo in the team as the main dot applicator or another dot applier. Dude, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But as long as we got another unit that's putting those dots that she's insta-procking, then I think we could be in the situation where maybe we build a crit damage KAFKA. I don't know. It's going to take experimentation to find out, but I think that's something that's going to be fun to see because, hey, if everyone's pulling for KAFKA because it's their mommy, they want her to deal damage. You know what I mean? So why not have her dealing? So when she attacks, she deals big crit damage and then procs bigger damage from the additional dots applied from her teammates. I think that's going to be a really fun build, and I think it's really, really cool. So honestly, these traces for me are the best thing about her kit so far. We get energy regeneration, we get additional procking of all dots, and we get a better effect hit rate so that we don't have to stress about effect hit rate on the chest. I think that is like a perfect combo. At least, I think at worst case, I think you might need to get some effect hit rate on her substats, which, you know, normally you get a bit of that anyway, and you don't need to focus on the chest. And I think that is going to be huge. And once again, if you're building a crit build anyway, you're not too stressed about it. Yes, you still want to land those shocks because it's a bit of extra damage. But if you're building her for crit, once again, not saying it's the best thing, it's a pretty cool thing to do. Now, they also put out the light cone as well, but I'm not too stressed about this. I know not everyone's going to be able to get that and stuff like that, but it's honestly a pretty sweet light cone. Increases damage dealt by the wearer by 24%. After every attack launched by the wearer, their speed is increased by 4.8%, stacking up to 3 times, so it's like a 15% speed increase. That is pretty solid. If the wearer hits an enemy target that is not afflicted by erode, there's a 100% base chance to inflict erode to the target. Enemies afflicted with erode are also considered to be shocked and will receive lightning dot at the start of each turn equal to 48% of the wearer's attack, lasting 1 turn. So basically what this is saying to me is it's an additional dot. So it's not like, you know how normally if you have a character and they like KAFKA's follow-up attack and her technique and her ultimate are all going to apply the same shock, whereas a break is a separate instance of shock. I believe this one's going to be another separate instance of shock. So it's just another another thing that she's going to be insta-procking every time. So obviously this cone's going to be great. It's like, and like I said, every build that I want to build with KAFKA wants her going super fast. So this is obviously going to contribute to that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like a must-have, especially if you don't have Silverwolf and you're not using the Silverwolf light cone that we all got for free. That is just a great cone to slap onto her, in my opinion. If you're getting something with defense break in there, whether it be like a Sampo with the defense break cone or something like that, I feel like there's plenty of options. But honestly, I'm just happy when they released all this stuff. So now we know what she's got in her kit. Once again, we don't know multipliers, but we don't really, like, I'm not really stressed about multipliers as much, except for the idea of a crit damage build, because we know what she's going to be proccing from characters like Sampo or Serval, for instance. So I'm excited for KAFKA. That's her skills. That's what we're looking at. Once we get multipliers and all that, I will address that as well. But in general, I'm pretty excited for KAFKA. I think she's going to be a sick, fun character to play. And I hope like hell I pull her on my Silverwolf account. But anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.